it comes to choosing crystals, one of the important things to consider is the size of the crystal that you're going to work with. The larger the crystal, the more likely it is that you're going to use it in an environment. So here's 3 examples of crystals that you'd use in an environment, in a living room, in a workspace, in a commercial environment. Here we have an amethyst cave, and it's large enough to be used in anything from a commercial environment to even a large factory to an entertainment venue, etc. And it brings a lot of balance to such an environment. It brings about clarity. Another example of a large crystal that you'd use in an environment, we have a clear quartz geode here with some lovely inclusions, some devic inclusions. This sort of crystal, clear quartz, always energizes a space, and because this is a generator, it will even increase more so the energy that becomes available in that space. So large enough to use, again, in a living room, in a workspace, or even a commercial sense. An agate slice, and the reason it's doing that is that it helps retain any program you may have put within your crystal or that is inherently in there. But focus on the geode. Geodes are particularly good in environments where you're going to have a group of people working together. Now, being clear quartz, it's going to energize that group, and being a cluster like that means that you can use it again in a living room, but more likely you would use this in a work environment, in a boardroom, in a shop environment, in a meeting room, in a community centre. They're all ideal places. So large crystals for environments and groups. When we look at personal crystals, they need to be small enough that you can actually hold them in your hand or place them in a pocket. They can be small enough, like this clear quartz sphere, to be meditated with, or you can actually scry. In other words, you can use this as a crystal ball. Remember, if you're ever going to use a clear quartz or smoky crystal ball, never purchase one that's completely clear. It must have some inclusions, otherwise you'll get a headache. You'll actually perhaps even tear what we call the brow chakra or third eye chakra. Over here again, another personal crystal, where these were tumble stones, lapis tumble stones. Here we've got a Lemurian seed. Now, it's a clear quartz, which on its surface has these striations, and they're particularly useful if you're meditating on ET, extraterrestrial or interdimensional type questions. It also helps you access DNA healing in certain cases. So the smaller the crystal, the more useful it is to you personally, or to a friend, or if you're a healer, to your client. The larger the crystal, and they come a lot larger. I mean, I've been in rooms where there was an amethyst geode like this, 10 times this size. So it really depends on the application, but size for crystals is important to consider. When choosing the right crystals, sometimes we also have to consider the overall shape of the crystals that we're looking at. At other times we have to consider the surface of the crystal. And last but not least, we sometimes have to consider the internal inclusions in a crystal. So if we're looking at overall shape first, across 3 pieces, one being an egg, one being a massage point, and one being just a rough cut rose quartz. So which one do you choose? Well, rough cut is normally best if it's going to be hidden from view, or it doesn't matter how good it looks, but also it's cheaper, And it's particularly good because of that, because you can have a fairly large chunk in a living environment. So it can be used in an environmental sense to create harmony in the case of rose quartz, wherever you like. They're great in bathrooms, they're actually fantastic in bedrooms, and they're also good in living rooms. Of course, if you've got a work environment where everyone's fighting all the time, then of course you could use it there. Now say you're drawn to the egg and you don't really know why. Well, eggs, subconsciously we're drawn to them when we're looking either for comfort or beginnings. So an egg, if you're drawn to it, is going to be for extra comfort, and perhaps when you're at the start of a new journey or looking at something new. A massage point, the end is used to direct energy into a part of the body, while the massage point is used to draw away energy from a place that hurts in the body. So say for example my third finger here were hurting, I would actually direct the massage point there and draw the energy out of the painful area. So there are three shapes to consider. Now spheres. Spheres, as you may or may not know, are particularly good for bringing even energy to an environment. So it may be that you don't want the energy directed in a particular area, but you want it just to bring general balance and even distribution of energy. They're fantastic for reading, clairvoyant readings. Make sure, again, I need to remind you, choose one with inclusions, otherwise you cause yourself damage. So spheres are good in a couple of ways. Tumblestones, rough or smoothed out smaller crystals, are very good as personal crystals. You can put them in your pocket, you can put them, you know, in a jacket, you can leave them on your desk or by your bedside. They're small enough to carry even when you're traveling. Now if you look at other shapes, whenever we're looking at a slab, this is labradorite and it's actually a slab or a sheet. Very useful for when you want to place a crystal somewhere and not have it roll around. I like these as paperweights. I often gift them to people who don't want to be seen to be crystal users, and if it's as beautiful as labradorite, everyone will pick it up and say how wonderful it is, but they won't guess that it's any more than a paperweight perhaps. So very good for remaining incognito, I always think. Now shapes of crystals, we could be looking now at clear quartz, and yet we've got examples here of three types of shapes which determine the use of the crystal. First of all, let's look at this one. This is a Vogel. A Vogel is a two-pointed crystal, and in this case it's clear quartz, so it's a way to amplify energy or bring in light into a situation. The 2 points mean that energy coming into the crystal will be directed in either direction. The way I use these is in environments where there's a break in the circuit of the energy. Sometimes I use them when I've got disrupted ley lines and I actually want to redirect energy or create a place where broken energy now connects. It's almost like replacing a part of the wiring in a circuit. It's like a repair joint is how I see it. There are other ways to use them, but I'll leave it there for now. This is a clear quartz generator, and the reason I've put this here is that I'm not going to now look at overall shape, but I'm going to talk about the importance of looking at the main face or faces of a crystal and perhaps considering the overall shape of the front face. A common practice is to actually count the number of faces to a crystal. Here, for example, we've got what's referred to as a Tao crystal. It's a master crystal. It's clear quartz, but because, and I'll move it around but you won't see the detail, we'll have a slide for you in a minute. You've got 6 faces, 3 have 7 sides and 3 have 6 sides. And this creates a configuration of enormous symmetry, enormous clarity. You use dowels when you want the person to get their life integrated. If you feel as if you haven't got your act together, or you haven't got clarity or even distribution of energy in all the parts that are your life, then a dowel is fantastic. It has many other uses, but I will leave it there for now. Now, other comfort shapes. This is what we refer to as a thunder egg. Now this thunder egg, so this is the rock. This is the original rock that your crystal came in. And on the inside of the rock, you've actually got smoky quartz, druzy, or minor crystals. And then you've got a smoky quartz, a single smoky quartz sitting within the geode. I think most people that I've seen buy these are buying them because they're needing to feel sheltered or protected when they're considering an issue or a particular time in their life. So they can feel very protected. They give you a place to rest, so to speak, when things have been tough or a little bit uneven. They really are very, very popular when you find them. They come in smoky, they come in clear. Amethyst thunder eggs are not uncommon. You don't have to have this little one. You can just have a thunder egg that's got amethyst through it. It still serves the same purpose. Now again, just looking at shapes, you can have a cluster. This is like a number of crystals within a base. And you may know that these are particularly good when a group of people is going to work together. Let's now look at another feature when we're looking at surface of crystals. This is again a very interesting crystal. This is called an celestial. It's a smoky quartz celestial. What makes it so is that the surface is like crocodile skin. Now what these are used for often by healers is Akashic file retrieval. They're also used, so sometimes you've got someone who's really ill and you want to know, when did this all start? Is it this life? When did it start? Is it past life? Having these crystals will allow you to investigate that. Giving an celestial to someone will actually help them get to the root of a particular problem or disease. Celestials can also be used if you're investigating something. One of my friends, a scientist, uses one of these whenever he's investigating particular areas in his specialty. So they can be used for that. Looking at surface again, a Lemurian seed identified by striations on the faces. Lemurian seeds are used often and in my experience often aboard by star children, star people, because they're not always children. A lot of the star people are grown-ups. Now, the inside of a crystal is important too. Here we've got what I consider a very important crystal. It's called a manifestation crystal. And what happens here is you've got a crystal within a crystal. So if you're wishing on something, this is like an Aladdin's lamp. If you hold it as you meditate and focus on what you're wanting to bring into your life, this will help you manifest it. So that's an inclusion, a crystal that you choose due to what's on the inside. Right over here, we've got another type of inclusion where we've got a clear quartz that has chloride through it. Chloride is a green mineral, and you can see the two different colours. The green chloride is right through the clear quartz. This is used by a lot of people to bring prosperity, and in my experience that is exactly what it will bring in your life. If you place it in the right environment, for example in Feng Shui terms in the prosperity corner of your home or office, I guarantee this will bring you prosperity. In whatever form you like. It could be money, it could be more flowers in your life. It really doesn't matter. It'll bring abundance. Now this is an agate slice. Again, a slice, so easy to place down. The advantage of agate is if you place other crystals on it, and here's an example of placing another crystal on an agate slice, it will keep that crystal, it will help that crystal retain its programming. You can use an amethyst in the rock, an amethyst geode, if it's a flat one, and place crystals on it as well. And what that will do is it will not only help it retain the program, but it will help it retain clarity and remain clean. This is amethyst in the rock. Whenever you choose a crystal in the rock, what you're doing is you're using a crystal which is already grounded, already still remembering how to use the knowledge we've accessed out of the crystal and use it in a practical sense, because it's already sitting on the ground or within the ground, so to speak. And subconsciously and energetically, that will always help you use the knowledge or the clarity you gain through the crystal immediately into a more practical sense. So remember to always consider the shape of a crystal, not just its colour, not just the size. Remember to look at the inclusions, remember to look at the overall faces. And of course, trust your intuition. One crystal, even out of 3 that looks similar, will feel right. It'll look right. You'll know it's meant for you. That's the right one. So summarising, we have looked at using your knowledge, the features of a crystal, things like its colour, its shape, the inclusions, the size of the crystal will determine whether it's the one, and your intuition. When you're ready, please visit us at essentialenergies.com.au. We have an amazing array of rare and powerful crystals for your use. See you soon.